Om Sahanavavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Saha Viryam Karvavahai Tejasvinavaditamastu ma vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So we move on to the second verse. Kva dharma kva cha va kāmaḥ kva cha artha kva vivekatā vā'dvaitaṃ kva cha vā'dvaitaṃ svamahimni sthitasya me. Where is vā'dvaitaṃ, dharma? Where is desire? Where is wealth? And where indeed is conscience or discrimination? Vivekatā. Where is duality? And where again is non-duality? For me, svamahimni. For me, who abide in my own grandeur. Svamahimni sthitasya me. My grandeur, that is the glory of myself. Purushartha, dharma, moksha is not mentioned in this. It says where there is dharma, artha, kama, and vivekatā, discrimination. Dharma, artha, kama, moksha are all important and relevant, and the scope for this varies depending upon the four ashramas, where a sadhaka is or a jiva is. This has been dealt in detail in the karma session, which is there in the blog as well as in the YouTube channel. Purusha means a human being or a jiva, and artha means goal. Purushartha means goals of life. Hindu dharma conceives of such four goals: dharma, artha, kama, moksha. By now, you will all be very well aware of that. Where artha and kama are referring to pleasures and material prosperity, Moksha refers to pursuing goal of self-knowledge that results in ultimate liberation from the karmic cycle of birth and death. Every person has one or the other desire that he wants to accomplish. The desire may look very beautiful for a jiva at a normal level. All kinds of desires Krishnananda ji doesn't even want to put it as desire. At his level, he says aesthetic satisfaction. That is the word he uses. They are all considered, categorized under kāmaḥ. All wealth, all objects that are required in order to fulfill the desires and enjoy a comfortable and secured life is termed as artha. Dharma acts as the connecting principle which connects one to, in the initial stage, to the artha and kāmaḥ. Both artha and kāmaḥ have to be pursued under the jurisdiction, under the boundary of dharma. And he also taught you all the dharmas have to be under the bigger rectangle of atma dharma. Dharma thus plays a crucial role, not only ensuring a good life here and now, but also in enabling one to attain the state of supreme good or liberation. There is an interesting article on this which he came across. Most of us should be aware of the Maslow's theory of hierarchy. Those management students can never miss this. In the 40s, Maslow came up with a hierarchy, and interestingly, after finishing it, later on he added one more part to it. What is that? There would be various images of the Maslow's theory of hierarchy if you get into the net, but more or less after listening today, there may be multiple layers, but you can categorize them into these three main. He placed the most physiological needs like food, clothing, warmth, etc. at the very bottom. Above this, he places the human need for safety and security in life. The third position in the hierarchy is occupied by the emotional needs of people to feel loved, emotional security, relationships, etc. Above this, he placed the esteem needs, the need for self-respect and esteem in what one is and what one does, and the need to feel accomplished. Finally, at the very top, Maslow places the goal of self-actualization. Maslow gave the self-actualization in the 40s. So physiological, and then safety and security in life, and then the emotional needs, and then the self-respect, self-esteem, and then the self-actualization. Interestingly, superimposing the Maslow's pyramid of hierarchy in the Hindu model of Purushartha, we get the following correspondences. Physiological and safety, both are combined now. Physiological and safety needs, which are the two bottom levels of the hierarchy, corresponds to Artha in Purushartha. Emotional and esteem needs, which are at the middle of the hierarchy corresponds to the kāmaḥ of purushartha. Self-actualization. What is self-actualization? Self-actualization refers to everyone's inner potential and the individual needs for realization of the potential in life. This is nothing but the svabhava or the inner calling of the individual that manifests as dharma. In other words, self-actualization corresponds to the dharma of the fourfold purusharthas. Initially, Maslow, being a Western philosopher, he left the moksha part. In the later years, in few images you will find this, not in all. He created a new category called self-transcendence, higher than self-actualization. Okay, and this is what is the self-transcendence, is the moksha. Moksha is placed towards the end to denote it being the ultimate goal of the journey. Now, while a jiva indulges in artha and kama at the gross level and ignores dharma and never has the goal of moksha, Chinmaya beautifully describes the Chaturveda Purushartha for a human being. This exposition is useful for sadhakas at the beginning or the mid-level, trying to grasp the secrets of scriptures and trying to lead a good dharmic life and searching how to lead such a life. Since this is posted in YouTube and spiritual aspirants at various levels may listen to see these satsangs, so to cater to the beginning, mid-level, wanting to evolve, but searching how to find ways, how to climb up the steps for them, this is very useful. He says, Chinmaya says, four things are very important, not four purusharthas. He says, life itself. First, life itself is the most important. Life, ability to perform action, dhana, artha, pleasures of the world, kama. Life, action, wealth, pleasure. And he goes on, purpose of life. We started with life. Purpose of life is to earn wealth. Why? Because wealth can give pleasures, security, happiness. So, if we seek with a normal jiva who is not into the spiritual path at all, for him, what is this? Life, action, wealth, pleasure. Life is employed in performing actions which can give wealth, which in turn will give pleasures. This is the normal 85% of the people understand life this way and pursue life this way. Chinmaya says, he refers to one Sutta Rishi. Okay, we will not get into the detail of this. It is not relevant. Who was he, what he gave and all. The sequence of the life, action, artha and kama changes like this. He says, for a jignasu, for a spiritual aspirant, life is not about performing actions to gain wealth, to gain pleasures, but life, he says, jivasya tattva jignasa, desiring to know the truth, desiring to know God, desiring to know self. That is the purpose of life. Action. Purpose of action is not to gain wealth, to get pleasures. But action, the purpose of any action, this is all at the normal level. Let's be clear about it. He thought for a while whether this is required or not, but then he said, okay, we will glide slowly in the session as we progress. Purpose of action is chitta shuddhi. Action must end in purification of mind and devotion to God or devotion to higher self. Artha. Purpose of wealth is to perform and practice dharma. Okay. What is dharma? Purpose of dharma is to convert the laukika sampat, worldly wealth, to daivi sampat. Daivi sampat, asuri sampat is all explained in the 16th chapter dedicated Devasura sampat vibhaga yoga. Spiritual daivi sampat is what? At the normal world, at jiva level, charity, good acts, noble acts, serving the society, serving humanity in whatever way you can. It is not about just going out and physically serving, whatever you can. That is converting the laukika sampat to daivi sampat. And what do you gain out of it without deliberating on that? You gain punya. When the laukika sampat artha is converted into daivi sampat, your noble acts fetch you, go back to the karma section, all white sanchita karma arrows. And when you keep on adding punya, there comes a life where the takeoff is from the very beginning, not in 30s or 40s or 50s, from the very beginning. And the sanchita karmas are rendered impotent. They become impotent as roasted seeds, as we have read. And ultimately, you attain moksha. Where is kama? We left kama. Kama, he said, kama is not about good objects, desiring good objects, but kama here at the normal level. Kama is about maintaining a good health, good spirit, good mind, good quality of mind, good health. This is all about the kama. Now let us already Sutta Rishi resequenced a normal life is spent in performing actions to gain wealth, to enjoy pleasures. Already it has been changed. Now let us resequence this. As per the hierarchy, we also let us keep the kama at the lowest level. Maintaining good health, be good, do good, good mind, good spirit, not to indulge in pleasures. Okay, all this at the normal level. Having fulfilled this, artha, sampat, wealth attained is utilized to convert it into Devi Sampat at the second level. And this leads in dharmic acts, third level. And then this dharmic level ultimately leads us to moksha in one birth, and seek, and gradually, and that's this thing. As he always says, the last final, that D-Day, that point of timeless time, God gives his hand and pulls you up to him with any extent of purushartha, with any extent of intense nididhyasana, tapasya, austerities, everything. The final galloping, the last step in the running marathon race, the last touching that flag to be a victor, to gain victory, that last step is not in human hands. That is where the divine intervenes, and then he gives you distinction. Not 99%. 99% he will not give your hand. 100% he gives you his handless hand, and then he takes you and you merge unto him. And the catch here is that in your nididhyasana, in your tapasya, in your efforts to gain mukti, liberation, your mind, then he will not come. Your mind or thought should not be on when he will come, No. When you cross the thought of when he will come at that point of time. That is the beauty, that Maya Nataka Sutradhari. Okay. He allows you to fail even at that last penultimate point of time also. You fail. If you lack that intensity, you fail and you go to patal, from where again start with sadhana chatushtaya and come back. If you pass in that test also, his handless hand will come. Finished. Game over. Whether you live 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, 2 years, 1 day, 1 hour, immaterial. After that, purpose of life is achieved. Finished. Now, what is the state of Janaka after having learnt all these things at the normal level? For all we may know, he might have taken many births to evolve from kāmaḥ as resequenced, good health, good mind, etc., towards artha, towards the dharma, converting laukika sampat to daivi sampat, and through many punya earned due to the daivi sampat accumulated, good karmas accumulated, and not to never ever undermine or ignore the grace of his gurus, yoga, this gurus Vashishta and then Ashtavakra. He has transcended all these and attained moksha, and even transcended the thought of having attained moksha. What is that thought of attained moksha? Awareness of awareness. Having transcended even that, now can he go back and start from the kāmaḥ, do good, be good, good health, good mind, good vasanas all over again? As he always says, quotes, can a PhD scholar afford to go back to his second standard B section in the primary school in the village where he studied just because he liked that bench? This thing? Not possible. World will laugh at him. He has transcended all these things. He cannot go back again and start. Janaka roars, and he must roar at that state. Kwadharma kachva kvachava kama kvacha artha. Where is all these things? Sadhakas who have meditated on the illumination part, Jagat Ujjiyara part in the Hanuman Chalisa talk, and whether they got that illumination, that momentless moment where they touched that awareness, or they reach closer to that point of time. From that point of time, that state itself, penultimate state itself, you think that whatever Acharya taught today, all this Artha, Kama, Dharma and all, what it means, where is the relevance at that state? Even at the penultimate state, if they are not relevant, imagine Janaka or imagine any Jivan Mukta. And Janaka is Videha Mukta. What are all these things? What is the relevance of maintaining the body, maintaining good health, earning wealth and doing charity, doing all these things he might be doing in his sahaja sthiti, but what is the relevance of all these things? Now coming back to the pyramid, which we learned, Maslow's hierarchy, about the one who has crossed through this pyramid, transcended even the want of moksha, and existing after attaining moksha, self-transcendence. Janaka exists at that transcendental level. And from there he says, none of these four purusharthas are for me. Na vivekatā, as the ever-free self, there is no need. Not that he will not discriminate. In Avadhuta Gita, he taught you, okay, long back, even Shivananda Maharajas also taught this. No moral rules, no rules of the nation, no prescribed rules, do's and don'ts applied to a realized seer. But in their sahaja sthiti, they might not have even read the rule of the land. They might not even be thinking of the moral code of conduct. In their sahaja sthiti, all those things will be observed, but they are not bound by any of those things. Since an avadhuta is not bound by any code of conduct, when he takes to seclusion in the Himalayas, in the mountains, in the caves, there is not even left that bare minimum code of conduct for him to wear a kaupyana. Right? So, a sadhaka's journey, Janaka's journey, or any Jivan Mukta's journey from any of the previous births would have started with the Viveka, Vairagya, Shat Sampat, Mumukshatva, first of the sadhana chatushtaya. The purpose of the VVSM is attained. Absolute freedom is experienced. Now, where is the need to go back and to deliberate between the right and the wrong, to deliberate between the transient and eternal, to deliberate between Atman and Anatman, to choose the right one and discard the discarding part comes in Vairagya. Correct? Where is the name? But in his sitting, walking, acting, sleeping, speaking, everywhere viveka would be splashing. But as a deliberate effort, he doesn't have to think about discrimination anymore. Na vivekatā. All the do's, all the prescribed conducts, this is very beautiful to visualize if you sit and contemplate that. If you think of a Jivan Mukta and then you contemplate, because it is coming from here, and he noted down this one particular point. All the do's, all the rules of code of conducts, the viveka, everything, they all naturally merge in him, willing to rush and merge in him. Why? Because they revere that state of the Jivan. So having merged in him, they are in him ever. They act within him ever in reverence to that state. How beautiful. Don't search for these things in any books. From the source, take it and contemplate and enjoy such expressions. And visualize yourself in that situation. When I reach in, there is no returning now, there is no go back, irreversible journey. I am proceeding in this birth or next birth or some birth. When I realize, how will it be when all these prescriptions, all prescribed conducts, all the do's, all the things required for a spiritual sadhaka, all those things merge in me. In me, not the jiva. In me, grandeur, svamahimni. In me, the pure consciousness. How will that be? How will that? Your hands are in you. They will act effortlessly without deliberation when required. Right? Your blood circulation, it performs the act of circulation on its own because it is within you. All the dharmas are within you. They will act on their own whenever required without you having to think or deliberate about it. How beautiful. Now, coming to the state of a Jivan Mukta, let us have some more clarity on this Purushartha. Then we will go to the na dvaitam, na advaitam. As long as a person who has attained self-realization still lives in the samsara as a grahastha, as a householder, or as a sannyasi, having to serve his disciples or the visitors in an ashrama, they have to pursue artha, Definitely not kama. They have to perform certain things under the boundary of dharma for loka sangraha, for the sake of humanity, and in the case of a householder, also for the sake of his family. Then how do you say that for them there is no purushartha? It means though his BMI pursues and has to pursue some of the purusharthas, he is ever tuned to his pure existence, self-consciousness. And therefore, whatever may happen at a worldly level to him as a householder or as a monk, whatever may be the result of the purushartha which his BMI has to perform as a necessity depending upon where he is, as he is still not an avadhuta roaming around in the secluded forest. So the BMI performs, the BMI takes the results, good or bad, worst even, all the artha efforts may fail, totally fail or succeed. Okay, all the dharma, paradharma at the family level, they may not be recognized or they backfire and everything wrong happens and everything good happens. Nothing affects him existing svamahimni sthitasya me. Nothing affects him who has eternally identified himself with pure awareness, consciousness. This part has to be very clear. You means the world with their ignorant eyes may still see a Jivan Mukta pursuing Artha, and they may even think they are pursuing Kama, seeing them dressed, seeing them moving around, seeing them traveling in a car, seeing them pursue living in a normal state where the ignorant world considers all of them as kama. So they may think, what is this? This fellow is pursuing artha, he is pursuing kama, he is pursuing this, and what is this? Why is the world worshipping him? Why people are flocking to him? They don't even realize that he doesn't require a single jiva to be flocking around him. Honey is there. It is for the honeybees to come and suck the honey or to be totally ignorant, totally regardless of this honey in the existing there. He exists in the world, but even the world is within him, not outside. Na dvaitam, na advaitam. We all know the three schools, metaphysical thoughts on dvaita, dualism, qualified monism, vishishta advaita, and monism, advaita. They all are sages. All the three who founded these three schools of thoughts. Madhava said man is a servant of God and establishes Dvaita philosophy. Ramanuja said man is a ray or spark of God and established his Vishishta Advaita philosophy. Shankara said, Jivo Brahmaivanah para. Man is identical with Brahman or the eternal soul and established his Kevala Advaita philosophy. People have different temperaments and different capacities. So different schools of philosophy are also necessary. Everyone cannot jump to Advaita straight away. For all you may know, you have to progress from Dvaitam to Vishishtadvaitam to Advaitam and then transcend Advaitam also. That is the glory of our Bharat. Billions and billions of people. If they are grouped together, they may have some thousands, tens of thousands of ideologies or tens of thousands of approach in spirituality. Bharat caters to all of them. What is your way of looking at God? There is a school giving that to you. Catch, proceed. Ultimately, you will reach the same destination. Where the most part of the world is fanatical about one religion, one thought, one approach, Bharat opens up and then says, whoa, what, how many religions, how many deities, how many Westerners make fun of us saying that stupid people, how many deities, how many this thing, blind. No, it's not like that. Amongst the sadhakas, one may be more, because of their sanskaras, one may be more inclined toward Hanumanji, one towards Durga, one towards Shiva, one towards Rama, one towards Kartikeya, n number, and every village has a deity. Ultimately, catch the ladder and go up and reach, and then leave the ladder, leave the matter and catch the self. That is why our bhumi is Punya Bhumi. Undoubtedly. And all of us have to be extremely proud and extremely grateful to Swami that he made us take our birth in such a land. This is not about patriotism. This is about the spiritual vibration of our bhumi. Once realization dawns in Advaita and one abides in self, his true nature, which is taught by Advaita as self, then he must and he does in his Sajasthiti, he does necessarily transcend even Advaita. He does not have the mind, he does not have the thought to go about saying that I am practicing non-dual self, I am practicing Advaita. He has not reached self. Only in the pure depth of silence you can be one to one, in tune with God, in tune with self, which is your inherent nature, not outside. Till the time you keep on blabbering about what you are practicing, you have not reached there. Be silent. In your silence, let the world know you, let the world never know you, what is there? How does it matter? How does it matter? So Janaka is saying, what is Dvaita and what is Advaita? I am beyond both. State of Jivan Mukti in Moksha Gita. We should have continued. We left. Let us see. If Swami wills, we will continue from where we picked up. Because this is Shivananda Maharaj Ji gave the essence of Bhagavad Gita, essence of Upanishads, essence of Adi Shankara's treatise, everything he consolidated and brought into Moksha Gita, which his deserving disciple Krishnanand Ji Maharaj wrote the commentary. The Guru said, a Jivan Mukta who has reached the imperishable Turiya state can never be affected by the pairs of opposites. Here we are talking about the subtlest pair of the opposites, Dvaita Advaita. Beyond that, there is nothing. Beyond Dvaita Advaita, beyond Mukti Bandham, there is nothing else, no other dualities. He always rests in his own Satchit Ananda Swarupa. He roams about happily. A Jivan Mukta is a sage who is liberated from bondage even while living with a body. The egoism of a Jivan Mukta is like a burnt cloth, which has got the appearance of a cloth, but it is actually reduced to the state of ashes. The individual consciousness of a Jivan Mukta is powerful enough to maintain the existence of his physical body, but is not capable of bringing to him another birth as an embodied being. His actions are cosmic movements and not the instincts of the sense of egoism. A hunter sees an animal moving in the forest and thinking that it is a tiger, he shoots an arrow in it. After the arrow has left the bowstring, he realizes that the animal is not a tiger, but a cow. But the subsequent knowledge will not save the cow from being affected by this arrow. The arrow will hit the object which lies within the sphere of its momentum. This is the way a Jivan Mukta undergoes his prarabdha karma. Arrows in flight up to the moment of his realization, they have to go and hit that particular goal, particular object or particular karma, and then the result of that prarabdha karma he has to experience. But the jnani realizes that the whole universe is Brahman only. Okay. And the prarabdha karma is exhausted, the body drops off itself, and the sage becomes unified with the infinite Brahman. This is about the Videha Mukti. When in the Jivan Mukta Avastha, when the Prarabdha Karma, this is the, Jivan Mukta undergoes the Prarabdha Karma. So, once the Sanchita Karmas are gone anyway, they are rendered useless. The Jivan Mukta continues to undergo the Prarabdha Karma, good or bad, not necessarily bad, good or bad. But when the Prarabdha Karmas are also exhausted, then he lives for a few days. And then the body dropping off like the dry leaf, Ashtavakra Gita, from the Diwali session, it drops off on its own. But even while living in with the body, the Jivan Mukta identifies his consciousness with Brahman, and is not affected by the pairs of opposites and the forces of nature. The whole universe is his body, for he is in tune with all forces of nature due to his transcending all phenomenal relativities and resting in Brahman consciousness at all times. Chinmaya writes, as a means of directing the mind of the student from the disturbing realm of plurality or duality, the Upanishadic masters had directed the students towards non-dual self, one without ekam eva advaitam. This non-duality is an illusory attribute of the self, no doubt, endorsed and accepted by the rishis, as it would help the students to walk out of their greater illusions of the world of multiplicity. Once the seeker transcends his mind, even the concept of non-duality will become meaningless. It is as though non-duality as a concept also never existed for a Jivan. As much as duality is not relevant for him, non-duality is also not relevant for him because he has crossed both. Always he says, when you talk about shade, shadow, in subconscious mind, heat is there for you, right? So when you say non-duality, somewhere at the back of the mind, subconscious mind, duality is there. Only when you transcend non-duality also, you are ever free. The trace of the duality will not be there once you cross the non-duality also. In this universal state of pure existence, nothing can be predicated. Every attempt at verbalization of the absolute self is an unforgivable blasphemy against the truth, declares Avadhuta. Some want duality, others want non-duality. They do not apprehend the truth. The truth is neither duality nor non-duality. Avadhuta Gita takes off from where Ashtavakra leaves. Ashtavakra's end is the starting point of the Avadhuta. He says, Avadhuta says all this Advaita is all not required. All this jnana is all not required. Duality, non-duality is all not there. Four Mahavagyas are all not there. So, unripe sadhakas should not even touch. It will give you current and don't touch even the Avadhuta book. Keep at arm's length. In this today's world, don't even know how many are even touching that book. Don't touch, because you will get totally confused. Svamahimni sthitasya me, abiding in my own grandeur, me, the self, the grandeur of self. Svamahimni sthitasya me, this is my sahaja sthiti. Okay, we are coming to an end. Towards the end of this commentary on this, Chinmaya writes a verse on the verse about from the Chandogya Upanishad. The English translation reads like this of this. There where nothing is perceived as other, nothing is heard as other, nothing is known as other, that is infinite bhuma. Where something is perceived as other, something is heard as other, something is known as other, that is finite, alpam. That which is infinite, bhuma, that is immortal. That which is finite is alpam, which is immortal. Where is, sir, this bhuma abiding? Where this bhuma is abiding, the Guru says, it abides in its own grandeur, which is above all. It abides in its own grandeur. This grandeur of self cannot be described. You have to reach there and then experience that, not in strokes, but in your sahaja samadhi sthiti. Couple of poems and then we end. I know not Shiva. How can I speak of him? Who Shiva is, I know not. How can I worship him? I am Shiva. Chidananda Rupa Shivoham. The only reality. Like unto space, absolute is my nature. It in me is neither unity nor variety. The cause of imagination is also absent in me. Free from subject, free from object am I. How can I be self-reliable? Endlessness is my nature. Nothing else, not else exists. Truth absolute is my nature. Not else exists. Atman by nature, the supreme reality am I. Neither am I a killer, nor I can ever be killed as Atman. Jivan Mukta sings in Samadhi, linked with this. How shall I worship that Atman great, which is neither personal nor impersonal, taintless, above ragadvesha, above love and aversion, uncreated, all pervasive of the form of the universe, having no attributes, yet not attributeless, because he is existing in the samsara, having no attributes, yet not attributeless, contradictory. That all bliss Shiva myself. How shall I bow down to mine own self, in mine own self, and by myself? I have no colors, white or yellow, eternal Shiva. I am rootless and without a root, free from smoke and smokeless I, without a lamp and lightless I. Lightless I means the light which is known in the objective world as light. That light I am not, I am eternal light. Equanimity am I, like a sun ever risen. How can I name the passionless, desireless one as having desires? The absolute cannot be described in terms of conditions. The essenceless cannot be called essential. Space like all equanimity and I. Now validate the lines roared by Janaka in the backdrop of this satsang, ending with the poem, the not a poem on a song on his own state by the sage from Ananda Kutir, and in the backdrop of all the things which we learned, self-transcendence, and then na vivekatā, na dvaitam, na advaitam, svamahimni sthitasya me. Now validate the learning with the experience of this roar from the videha mukta. Kva dharma, kva cha kāmaḥ, kva cha cārthaḥ, kva vivekatā, kva vā'dvaitaṃ, kva cha vā'dvaitaṃ, svamahimni sthitasya me. Grandeur of self. See, as long as you get confused and you are torn between the two ends, you mix up your existence as jiva pursuing dharma, artha, kama, and you mix this existence and you with your existence as a sadhaka, supposed to be a mumukshu sadhaka, there is total confusion. Never will you see the light of the day. You should, this is his command, his direction, his instruction, at least to 2, 3, 4, 5 of you who would take his instruction and not ridicule his instruction. This is the instruction for you. You must exist only as sadhaka. And like a resident of Palakkad may hear about some resident staying far off in Malabar somewhere, unknown to him, exist as sadhaka and look at yourself, the jiva, pursuing artha kama mode, dharma. There will be no confusion. As long as you mix up these things both, there will be total confusion. You should command, you should exist only as sadhaka with only goal, liberation. And what is the way? Plethora of sessions, hundreds of sessions, blog posts, Swami's writing, anything Adi Shankara's writing. Since why he insists on sessions and these things? Because in this there will be no confusion. In your exuberance, in your excitement, if you pick up a wrong book and start reading it, there will be total confusion. Because the author may be believing in Dvaitam, the author may be believing in Vishishtadvaitam, the author may be believing in some school of philosophy, and his sanskaras will be there in the book, we will be confused. That is why he is not fanatical about sessions. Sessions have clarity. There is no confusion. It is Advaita, Advaita, non-dual, non-dual, non-dual from the purpose of birth till now. And in the future also. You exist only as sadhaka. Then you will see, take these words, take this mantra. If you exist as sadhaka, then you will see you, the jiva, pursuing your arthakama with indifference. You will not get attached to you, the jiva, pursuing arthakama. You must perform. You are in the society. You are a grahastha. But never ever mix up these two existences. Please, never ever. If he has to plead, he will plead. If he has to command, he will command. But follow. Existence sadhaka, and look at you, the jiva pursuing arthakama. It succeeds, you laugh. It fails, you laugh. It's all fun. Life is game. Let it fail. You are not failing. As a sadhaka, you are not failing. As a mumukshu, you are not failing at all. You are pagapai, pag dikhlaye. Sharmaji wrote about Krishna, about Swami. Small steps, small steps. Chinni Krishna steps like that. You are proceeding towards your goal of self-realization. Very clear this path. Stand here and look at you, the jiva, pursuing all the, not stupid, all the things of arthakama which are not relevant, which are not of any use for you, the sadhaka. Then only you will have developed that indifference within you. You take up a step towards artha. You take up your step towards kāmaḥ, not in a lower level, but the kāmaḥ towards the family, towards the upbringing of the family, whatever. It fails. It totally collapses, fails. You, the sadhaka, will laugh. In secret, in silence, not letting your family or others knowing that you are laughing. Then otherwise you will be termed as a cruel person. Okay. But his command is, don't mix up these two levels of existence. Whenever and whosoever mixes up these two levels of existence of his normal life and his sadhaka life, they will never see the light of the day. They will never experience that pure awareness in the nididhyasa. Of course, even in that plight also, if Swami decides to bestow them, it can happen. But on their own purushartha, with their own self-effort, very difficult. Take this today for your existence henceforth, right? Hari Om.